Okay, I'm really super excited because it's Friday morning. It's March 21st, and we're about to watch the Severance finale, Severance Season 2 finale. I'm going to put this on the beginning of my Season 2, Episode 9 recap review video because I tried to post it last night, but I got a copyright thing, which of course I figured was going to happen because I had clips. So I'm going to take that video down and I'm going to fix it so that I only have pictures in there. And just put this on the beginning. And I just want to say, I really just wanted to say, it like waking up this morning, like every morning it's hard to wake up in the morning because I'm tired and I just want to sleep. But this morning was not, it wasn't hard at all to wake up because it's kind of like Christmas to be able to watch this, except that it's, well, I was going to say, except that then it's going to be over. Then you're going to be sad that you have to wait until next Christmas. But it's kind of like Christmas. So I just wanted to also say that if you're only interested in like a severance theory, that I do have one theory that I dropped, and it's at the very end. And it's just on the screen because I didn't mention it when I was doing the video because there were a lot of things that I was talking about. So if you're only interested in that, you can just scroll to the end and you'll see it come up on the screen. And that's it. Thanks for being here. And if you're here, you're probably as excited as I am right now. And I'll be back later to talk about the finale. And here's last week's Jen, because that's when I recorded this, talking about episode 9. So I just finished watching with my kid season 2, episode 9 of Severance. And we usually watch it, we've been watching it like on Thursday night, but I happened to work last night until late. So we were going to have to watch it this morning. Well, or like at 11 o'clock in the morning, as the case may be. So what I did learn is that I cannot watch this show, an episode like this, while drinking coffee because it was almost too much for my system to bear. This episode, as I just said to my kid before I came upstairs, it was like with the last episode, with kind of like, you know, our backstory with Cobell and, you know, taking us to whatever that town was, Salt. Why do I want to say Salt Neck? It could be. And people complaining, not us, but there were people complaining about that episode that like there wasn't action, like nothing happened, which we hardly disagree about that because a lot happened. We needed all of that information about Cobell to enrich our experience for this show, to increase our understanding of Cobell, and it actually did a lot, ultimately, to propel the story forward, right? So it's like this episode, everything happened. There was so much happening. It was a whirlwind of emotions, of thrills, of heartbreak, of devastation, of creepiness. Like when we open with Helena having breakfast and and James is there and she says, "Are you gonna eat?" And he's like, "I'll just watch." And I'm like, this is creepy AF. What is happening? And just the way she's eating that egg, like we've never seen an egg be so creepy. And I love eggs. But the image we see with the egg being split in two, the kid was like, people were talking about that image on Twitter, and I'm like, does it mean Helena's pregnant with twins, or does it mean Innie and Outie? Like, who knows? But obviously, it's not meaningless because there's nothing really in this show that's meaningless. But she does ominously tell James that they're taking care of Mr. Bailiff Irving. And I'm like, So there's my first, like, listen, we must protect Irving at all costs. I cannot have anything. We can't have anything happen to Irving because we love him. So then we drive, she leaves and we're left to wonder what the hell is going to happen. And let's go ahead and forward on to the next scene. I have this on in the background with no sound so that I can remind myself because again, so much happened and the cinematography, as always in this, the is outstanding. Just every shot is amazing and wonderful. But like when she's driving and when we pull back to see all of Lumen with the last shot being the water tower, it's absolutely amazing. So then we have Milchick telling Miss Wong that her Wintertide fellowship has ended and that they're going to pack her off to Sweden. And the look on her face is like, oh my God, like she looks like a little kid now. Like she looks like a little kid, and we feel for her like a little kid who's being taken away from her parents. And when he has her crush her little ring toss toy with the freaking James Egan head, you know, absolutely devastating. And she's so great. And I'm hoping that this is going to somehow, my hope at the time is like, can she please just like decide to like join the revolution and, help burn the place to the ground kind of thing. And then we're ready for some more angst when we have Gretchen telling Dylan that she kissed his innie. And because, we've seen her with his innie, and as she tells him in this scene, it's like it reminds her, Dylan's innie reminds her of how Dylan used to be, which is, it's so sad. It's a heart, it's a very, I mean, yeah, it's heartbreaking scene like usual. And the follow through on that when Gretchen goes to basically tell Dylan's, to tell Dylan G that she can't see him anymore because of, she told her husband about them kissing and he didn't, and Dylan G innocently asked, was he happy for us? And it's like, oh my God. And he's made her a ring and wants to give it to her. And the tears are coming down her face. And it's like so, so, so heartbreaking. I mean, the acting on this is from the supporting characters, superb. It's absolutely superb. And we get Irving coming home, and we're wondering what's going to happen to Irving since we already know that, they want to do something about Irving. And there's Bert sitting there, like in so many movies where you've seen the assassin waiting, for him to come in. And what ultimately happens here, obviously, is that because you're watching this, you've already seen the episode. The way first of all, there aren't enough Emmys to go around for this show because we need supporting actor Emmys for Christopher Walken and for John Turturro. So what they're going to have to do at the Emmys is they're going to, and probably others, but right now I'm saying it definitely for them, we're going to have to make it so that more than one person can win because that's the only way this is going to work. Definitely we'll give them this. They got to get the SAG award for best ensemble. They have to get the Emmy for best drama series. They have to get it for best direction for the Chikai Bardo episode, for Jessica Lee Gagne, and just pretty much every award that we can think of. They're going to need to get. But the way this unfolds with him, let's go for a ride, and you have that sense of dread. Like, yeah, I have to take you for a drive because I have to kill you. But so, it's when it's just, And I'm like, and oh my God. And then they show the dog, and I'm like, what's gonna, we're like, what's gonna happen to him? And here I am drinking my coffee, and my heart's gonna explode. But the way that this ultimately goes down with them going to the train station, and the scene with Irving, telling Bert that he's ready, juxtaposed against the scene back when they were in O&D, and he's telling him, I'm not ready. And it's like, oh my God, this is just like, these two actors are so amazing, and their chemistry as Bert and Irving is just, it it's it's just one of the best things I've ever seen on TV. It's absolutely phenomenal, and I cannot explain how much I wanted Bert to decide to get on that train with him, but it wasn't to be, unfortunately. Well, now we're back at Lumen with Helly walking in and seeing that there's no one in, in macrodata refinement, and that she goes in to demand, like, where's Mark? And the scene between her and Milchick, where she's, being sassy basically because he says she's insubordinate because Helena Egan is his employer and she's his subordinate. It's, had us thinking, like, is this really Helena? Because then we were thinking about, like, her walk, and the kid was saying, it looked a little weird. And I'm thinking, yeah, her walk almost looked like exaggerated, like she's Helena pretending to be Helly. But I really do think that this is Helly throughout this episode. I'm pretty sure, except, she does decide that she's going to go and investigate the hallway, right? She tries to get, she's talking to Dylan about that. And, and the end of Dylan with him deciding to ultimately quit, and he's checking all those boxes of fatigue, guilt. And I'm like, there's me, leaving, deciding to quit my job, except it would just really be just fatigue. I'm always tired, so, and I'm not going to quit my job because I'm not rich. But anyway, I, because she's going to go and investigate the hallway, the picture that Irving has left, and she's looking at the instructions and trying to memorize them. And it, we see James come in and be like, you tricked me. And she's like, what the fuck? Which to me seems like something that Helly would say, like, who the fuck are you, kind of thing. But who knows? Again, I mean, I didn't know when it wasn't her, during the Ortbo, or so we'll see. We'll see how that's gonna. It's like, I love that they keep you guessing, and we have no idea what's going to happen. But I guess now let's talk about the everything that's going on with Mark and Devin in this episode. One of my favorite moments is when they do meet up with Cobell, and she's like, how are you? And he's like, yeah, what does he say? Something about his wife being held prisoner, and he just had brain surgery in his basement. He's great, and that's one of the things I love about the show, is how much humor they managed to inject, amidst all of this, like, terror, frankly. And it's just such an amazing mix, and that it's one of the things that makes this it makes it so hard to define why this show is great. But I love the laughs that they managed to get into the show. So he decides that he's got to basically to trust Cobell, and she's like, call Milchick and tell him you're sick. And he calls Milchick ultimately, but then says, no, I'm not sick. I just need a day. And Milchick has just had his basic showdown with Drummond, who, oh my God, Drummond and that hair is so creepy. Every time I see him, I'm just so creeped out by him. But anyway, where he ultimately tells him, when Drummond tells him that he's used a big word again, And you can just see in his eyes when he's like, I apologize. And he's like, make it shorter. And he's like, I'm sorry. And he's like, again. And when he says devour, oh my God, what's the word that he uses? Devour. I got to go find it. Hold on. Devour feculence. Amazing. And I went, oh, he told him to eat shit. This is so cool. Like, it's like his humanity breaking through. And that's what happens when he's on the phone with Mark. Like, you can see him just sort of being like, acting like a human being on that conversation as opposed to a lumen puppet, because he is kind of breaking out. I mean, ultimately, he says, like, just promise me. You know, he's trying to get Mark's location and stuff. And then he's just like, okay, just promise you'll be here tomorrow. Because then he's like, but I still work here. And I'm still all about whatever we're trying to do here. And we know that Mark is, we need him to come and finish Cold Harbor. But I love seeing him as this human being who is like, fuck all the way off with trying to like oppress me and say my words are too big. And like, because obviously the issues um of you know, racism come in here with people having been told that, you know, like the word uppity being used as a, like, black folks being too stepping out of line, basically. And it's like, to have him with that comeback, like, we've been waiting for that. Like, we've been waiting for that for 2 seasons, especially ever since we saw that episode where he was given those the paintings and stuff. And like, you could tell that he was just like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, that his humanity and his blackness were like at such odds with what was going on with Lumen. So to see that come through even a little bit is like, again, we've been waiting for this, because he is a villain, right? Like, he's been our villain, one of the villains. But at the same time, what's so masterful about this show is that you can hate him as this villain, but at the same time, you are pulling for him to stop being victimized by Lumen also, right? And it's kind of like with Cobell. How did we never thought that we would see her in a position of possibly being on the team? But at the same time, at the same time, you know, when we do finally, you know, the plan of Devin getting Mark to the any cabin, which is, you know, you get to the cabin and you walk inside and it's like the same thing is coming up in the elevator at that birthing retreat. And when he pops out and he's any Mark, and it's like, where the hell am I kind of thing. And Devin takes him upstairs and there's Cobell standing there framed with this fire behind her. Like, it looks literally like he is walking into hell. So it's what to make of that. Like, that doesn't look like somebody that we're supposed to think is going to be on the side of good now, right? Like, it looks like you are walking into the lair of Satan himself. So, God, I cannot wait to see what happens next week. And I also hope that after next week, we don't have to wait 2 years. But then, as my child said, I will wait, like, as long as I have to wait for them to give me more of this show. And it's like, yeah, absolutely, we're going to do that. But holy crap, like, I'm definitely going to go into all kinds of withdrawals, because this show is just that good and just that addictive. And I I just can't say enough about how what a triumph. What a triumph this is. And yeah, I guess that's all I'm going to say, because I don't think I enlightened anybody on anything. I just wanted to talk about this show and say how much I love this show. And yeah, that's it. If you stuck around for this whole thing, let me know your thoughts about anything. Um, there's so much to unpack. I just wanted to touch on a couple of the things that I really liked about this episode, which was everything. I mean, it was action, absolutely an action packed thing. And I can't wait till next week. So let me know what you thought about it. Thank you for being here. And we'll see you next time. Okay. Bye. Okay, so I guess it's a good thing that I did not post last night because now I'm just going to add on my season finale reaction. So, season 2, episode 10 of Severance. And it was an emotional roller coaster, to be sure. Um, I'm not sure how I feel about any Mark and any Helly right now. I completely understand why they did what they did at the end, but I also would like to have a word with them about their choices. But of course it makes sense because they've had it's kind of an ending that makes sense. Well, not an ending, but it's something that makes sense because of their love story. So, but still, ending with Gemma outside that door, banging on the door, pleading for Mark to come out. You know, it was trying to rip my guts out. But there were a lot of scenes that tried to rip my guts out. There were some scenes that were absolutely hysterically funny, like when Milchick Milchick gave Dylan the response from his Audi, and then the way he ran out of the room after he gave it to him because he said that he was, I can't remember the phrase that he used, but duly, basically that he was really busy and he had shit to do. But the way he ran out was one of the funniest things we've ever seen on the show. Dylan's, Audi Dylan's letter to any Dylan about why he was not accepting his resignation. Also, one of the funniest things that we've ever seen on the show. Starting with first, fuck you. And then also by the end of it being so kind of like touching and. Okay, listen. The show is just so. You're here. If you're watching this, it's because you already agree the show is so damn good. It's so ridiculously good. And I'm going to need, this is a message particularly for Emmy voters. So, like, for your consideration, what we're going to need to do. Let's just start with supporting actor. I think that there are usually traditionally like 5 nominees. I know that like that's what I grew up with and maybe they switch it sometimes, but we can fill 4 of those slots right now. So with Zach Cherry, Tremel Tillman, John Turturro, Christopher Walken, and a 4-way tie would be fine. Completely acceptable. And if, yeah, I'm fine with that. That would be completely acceptable. Based on this episode and Mr. Milchick and the marching band, we may have to, and the dancing, we may have to go ahead and say it's going to be Tremel Tillman for that. Best Supporting Actress, Patricia Arquette. Not sure, because I don't think that they will, unless they decide that Britt Lauer should be in the Supporting Actress category. I'm going to put her in the Best Actress category because I would like to have just a sweep across the acting categories. So Patricia Arquette supporting, Britt Lauer for Best Actress, and then, of course, Adam Scott for Best Actor, and then the show for Best Show, and then Chikai Bardo for Best Directing, and then this episode maybe for like Best Writing. I think we'll go ahead. So go ahead and just keep that in mind when you go to vote, because I'm sure there's a lot of Emmy voters that are going to watch my video. But seriously, the acting on this, the writing on this, the directing on this, the cinematography. Oh, Ben Stiller. Yes, of course. He's going to get Best Directing. We can, no, because I want to give it to Jessica Lee Kanye for Chikai Bardo. I'm sorry, Ben. You could have a tie with like some other Severance episode, but I want Chikai Bardo and Jessica Lee Kanye. Guys, it's a lot to process. That was a lot that just happened in that episode. And I hope that we don't have to wait as long to see what happens. I think that it had to end that way for us to have a third season. Basically, it did. Um, was so glad to see that Drummond got what he has deserved because, wow, what a vile, reprehensible human being. Thrilled. I mean, that was a bloody scene, but no RIP for you. What else? God. Oh, the scene when Mark and Helly are doing, the when Mark is finishing up Cold Harbor and the talk between them about and when she's remembering different place names and the meet you at the equator. My God. Beautiful. The emotional places that the show takes you, and it it's just I felt like Jay Megan just now. Oh, his weird ass moan. So fucking weird. Like Ellie said to him, "You're so weird. You're just so weird." Anyway, it was amazing, and I feel enriched for having watched the show, and I hope you guys do too. And I'd love to think that you feel enriched for having watched me talk about the show, but I don't think that's the case. Anyway, let me know what you think about this show. Drop your thoughts in the comments if you want to like and subscribe. It'll make me really super happy, especially because I'm going to go into a deep mourning because we have no more Severance to watch now. So anyway, once again, thanks for being here. I really appreciate every single one of you who stops by, and that's it. I'll be back with something later that's not Severance. So thanks. Bye.